Wimpod into could maybe even see that Lele come
I was
to
going
the
to say
active
it's
spot.
probably the Lele. We saw yesterday Tord moving in the Lele when he was playing against Buzzwole. So
this is definitely really solid if you're Ian. Get 3 Zeruas in play plus 2 Wimpods. Not too bad. On to Jimmy's turn. We'll see what he can do. Choice Band in his hand will let him do more damage to this Tapu Lele, but if he has a Guzma and a Floatstone combo, he may want to try to chase down some of these Zeruas.
definitely. We do see that Choice Band come down and energy go onto that Rockruff. Looks like he has an potential end, but he does go for the Cynthia instead, getting himself a fresh hand of 6.
Yep, chooses to go for Cynthia, and I think that's smart, choosing that over the end. Ian did just play an Ultra Ball to get Tapu Lele. Only has a couple of cards in his hand, so Jimmy doesn't have really any information about what those cards are. They could be good. He could have some supporters, could have some Evo Sodas, ways to get Zoroarks in play to start trading. But Jimmy doesn't know that. He's playing it smartly, just going to go ahead and Cynthia, not mess with Ian's hand, and there's a chance that Ian doesn't have a lot to work with his small hand size.
Looking from his hand, he gets the Brooklet Hill, goes back in. Probably going to find a...
Looks like he's eyeing up another Rockruff. I maybe would have expected to see a Remoraid come into play. Octillery we've seen just be so critical for these Buzzwole decks, but maybe valuing the potential that he can get from that Bloodthirsty Eyes ability and wants to keep more than one threat in play of that Dangerous Rogue if Ian was able to get a knockout on this corner Rockruff.
There could be the potential of him actually prizing it. Him going through the deck real fast, I'm not seeing anything beyond that Octillery.
Oh no, he does play that 2-2 line. Did he prize 2 Remoraid's? That would be extremely unfortunate, extremely unlucky if that is the case. Maybe he has one in his hand. We'll have to see after he finishes shuffling, but I would have expected to probably see a Remoraid if he had access to it.
Exactly. He does, in his hand, for sure have the Sudowoodo.
Okay, you saw that, so that is good. And that's something that can be very good. Can copy First Impression with a Guzma to knock out a Zoroark on the bench. Can even copy Riotous Beating. Lots of good options with Sudowoodo. Sudowoodo is just such a useful card. Hey, look at that. Does have a Remoraid, so that is good to see. We'll have that option. But we'll see what Ian's able to do on his turn. After, it looks like Jimmy will just go for that Jet Punch, doing 80 damage to the active Tapu Lele. We'll see where this 30 goes. Maybe onto a Wimpod?
Looks like it's going onto the Wimpod.
We're going to see Ian draw for turn. What is he going to be able to make happen here? If he has an Acerola, Grass Energy, plus a Gliscopod, he can maybe get this Lele out of the active and do a decent chunk of damage. But with a smaller hand size, I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. And we'll just see that in.
Ian does get rid of that Brooklet Hill, limiting Jimmy to just getting his Pokemon out through normal needs such as Ultra Ball until he can find another Brooklet Hill. Slows him down a little bit. Ian has sped up just a tiny bit due to the fact that he has that Zoroark on the field, being able to trade 1 card away for 2.
Absolutely. It's interesting to see Ian attach the Choice Band to the active Tapu Lele. Maybe going to try to set up an Energy Drive this turn to try to do some damage to this Buzzwole to make it easier for Gliscopod or Zoroark to knock out in the coming turns. Even though this Lele has 80 damage on it, it may seem like a waste of an energy attachment, but all of the other Pokemon in his deck attack for 1 energy card, so he really doesn't mind it. And it'll be nice to get some damage on this Buzzwole, so he's able to deal with it a little easier in the coming turns.
Trading away that Tapu Lele for 2 new cards, ending up getting another Zoroark, allowing him for another trade, trading away a Field Blower.
Looking for that double colorless energy. Does he get it? Needs to energy drive this turn. Would hit for a solid 90 damage. There it is.
Does have it.
Double colorless energy will come out, and that means energy drive can deal that 90 damage and put Buzzwole down to just 100 HP remaining. Now it will be easy in the coming turns for Ian to take that knockout without having to use his Mew EX, and it can even use something like Mewtwo if there's only the 1 energy on as well. Jimmy, looking at his hand, does not have the option of Brooklet Hill anymore. Does get an Ultra Ball, though. We'll see what he gets. Maybe eyeing up Octillery, using that Abyssal Hand. Just such a crucial card in this deck. And maybe needing to draw something off of this. We'll see if he has any other supporters in his hand. We'll see where his energy wants to go this turn. Maybe Jimmy could get off like a Dangerous Rogue play onto a Zoroark and try to take 4 prizes real fast. But if he does that, he's putting himself in danger of being knocked out by Gliscopod GX.
Right. Looking at his hand again. Surely he has a supporter, but he goes for the Max Elixir here.
Gonna want to get some more energies in play. Spreading his energy around.
Seems fairly typical of Buzzwole decks, always wanting to spread that energy around, being able to have any answer already for the opponent.
Absolutely. You just want to leave yourself with lots of options. You're able to just make really explosive turns with Max Elixir. And if you already have one energy on a Buzzwole, you know, in a future turn, it can be a lot easier to just go energy Max Elixir and then create a Knuckle Impact out of nowhere. And even easier if you get a second energy attachment to it now.
Right. Jimmy does find that Brooklet Hill, allowing him to go back into his deck to find another basic water or fighting Pokemon, netting that Regirock.
This is huge. This will allow him to pick up that knockout on the active Tapu Lele with a Jet Punch, dealing now 90 damage with that Tapu Lele that only has 90 HP left, and he'll be able to put 30 damage somewhere else. Maybe continuing to poke at that Wimpod that already has 30 on it. We'll have to see where he wants to put it, but Jimmy is still yet to play a supporter card.
Indeed. And
ooh, another Max Elixir. What a turn here from Jimmy Pendarvis, setting up a Buzzwole in just one single turn. But this is extremely risky. If he does take this knockout with his active Buzzwole, and then Ian is able to respond with a Mew EX plus Guzma play and a DCE, he'll take 3 energy out of play in one single attack.
It's risky, but I feel like Jimmy might know what he's doing here.
Oh, absolutely. Jimmy Pendarvis, of course, an extremely accomplished player. Very familiar with this deck, been playing it all weekend and at many tournaments prior to this one. Did make top 8 with Buzzwole Lycanroc at the Australian International Championships, and I believe top 16 with it as well in Latin America. Knows what he is doing for sure.
Oh, for sure.
We're going to see these players each get a new hand of 6. No prize cards taken yet. See what Jimmy is looking for. Double Elixir already played on this turn. Can he find a third? That would be pretty crazy if you ask me.
Looks like he's just eyeing up the math.
Rockruff comes into play, wants to have options for another Bloodthirsty Eyes besides the one Rockruff he has in play, and also still threaten that dangerous Rogue GX.
And he ends up taking that Tapu Lele out, putting 30 damage onto that Zoroark GX potentially here. He seems to be debating it and ends up going with it.
And there is lots of good math there if Jimmy in the coming turns can get a Guzma onto that Zoroark GX with Regirock EX in play, plus the Choice Band, plus the Strong Energy. He can Jet Punch for 180 to pick up that knockout.
Definitely.
There's the Mew EX. Does Ian find the Guzma as well? This would be a huge turn for him, taking 3 energies out of play, and he does have the Guzma.
Oh my
Extremely risky from Jimmy, putting all 3 of those energies on the Buzzwole, and it looks like he will lose all of them right away. Did hit those elixirs, but gets no use out of them.
Such a shame, but that's sometimes how the cards fall.
Absolutely, and Jimmy does have lots of ways to respond to this Mew. He does play, this is the same list as Azul, so he does play the Mew, so he can use that to copy Jet Punch. We'll see what he sends up. He can also Dangerous Rogue knock this out as well, but I'm not sure he wants to do that because that puts it in danger of being knocked out by Gliscopod GX.
He ends up sending up that very heavy Regirock.
Absolutely. This tells me he's going to be trying to find a Floatstone or a Guzma this turn. He knows that he plays the heavier count of both of those cards. Should have access to them if he can just draw a decent amount of cards.
Definitely.
Jimmy's kind of scrambling here, trying to figure out what he wants to do. I think if he could Dangerous Rogue this Mew this turn, he would go down to 2 prizes left. Sure, he might lose his Gliscopod, but then he can try to set up for that Jet Punch KO on that Zoroark this turn. We'll see if that's the play he is eyeing up. Max Elixir.
The Max Elixir again. See if he does hit it, goes straight to that Buzzwole, trying to charge up another one.
Yep, Jimmy's like, you're going to take out one of my Buzzwoles, I'll just make another one. No big deal. I think that was Elixir number 3 or 4 there.
It looks
Definitely
like 3.
Played most of them. Jimmy going to shuffle his deck here. He wants to find a Floatstone. See if he has an energy in his hand already to attach somewhere. Guzma is the card in his hand, so he will get that Jet Punch KO this turn, and he still leaves himself with that Dangerous Rogue option, which will be able to knock out any 2 prize Pokemon. And gets the attachment to Buzzwole.
And there's the knockout.
180 damage.
Where do you think that 30 will go? Will it go to the other Zoroark?
I think I could definitely see that. I could also see him maybe putting it on the Zorua so that he could try to set up a potential win condition where he can Jet Punch the active Wimpod get a Guzma on the Wimpod and take a 2 prize knockout that way to get his last 2 prize cards by knocking out Wimpod and Zorua in the same turn, but just chooses to put it on the Zoroark, maybe saying, hey, I can get a Jet Punch KO on this.
It's a safe play.
Absolutely. Jimmy is certainly in the driver's seat. We'll see what Ian can do to respond to this. Does have that Mew EX. But with that Buzzwole with 2 energies on it, all Jimmy would need to knock that out would be 1 more energy.
Adding a grass energy to that Mew EX.
Might be trying to set up for a crossing cut GX knockout if he can find Golisopod and in Jimmy to a low hand size. That might be what he goes for. There goes the end.
See, Jimmy going down to 1 and Ian going down to 4.
I think Jimmy should still have 2 prizes left. I think it might just be slightly off to the side of the camera, but we'll see for sure when he draws his cards. But I think there should be 2. I could be mistaken though. Let's see what Ian gets off of his 4 cards here. Hasn't traded yet, still going to have access to that ability. I think he's really trying to get this crossing cut GX play off this turn.
Does end up going for 2.
Yep, so it looks like it is 2 prizes. Just a little off camera for our camera, but that's fine. We'll maybe get Jimmy to slide his prizes over next game or something.
Yeah.
But see, there's a Zoroark GX. Going to have access to at least 2 trades. See what he draws here. Does he find that Golisopod GX? Checking that discard pile. Armor Press wouldn't do too much since Buzzwole GX's Knuckle Impact does more than enough damage to knock out Mew even after that reduction of 20 damage. Gonna see the Perilous City. What does Jimmy get rid of here?
So he's going for the Regirock as well as one of his Rockruff.
I think that's the best option for him. Wants to definitely keep Octillery in play and his 2 Pokemon that are getting ready to attack that have the energies on them.
And then Ian goes for the double puzzle here. Getting back.
I think it was an Ultra Ball and a Guzma. Gonna just Ultra Ball there. Got rid of an Enhanced Hammer and a Grass, I believe.
Did.
Finds that Golisopod GX. Will be able to use that Versatile to copy Crossing Cut. And I wonder what he'll run into after he uses Crossing Cut GX.
See.
Looks like that Wimpod will come to the active. 2 prizes remaining for both of these players. This is going to be a close one. Jimmy has lots of outs in his deck. Let's see what he draws. Is he able to use Abyssal Hand to find what he needs? There is his 4th Max Elixir. That can get him an energy in play. Then he can draw a Guzma to get a Guzma knockout. If he finds the energy, he can draw a Lycanroc. He can draw a basic energy to put on his active. Ooh, does whiff that Elixir.
Such a shame, but when you hit 3 already.
Absolutely, I know. I think if you were to go into a tournament and say, hey, you'll hit 3 of your 4 elixirs every single game, you'll say, I'll take those odds.
I will take those odds any day of the week.
Unfortunate here, though, for Jimmy. Maybe would have preferred one of those earlier max elixirs to hit miss as opposed to this one. But honestly, by taking an energy out potentially here, he actually decreases his odds of hitting one to attack with Lycanroc in the active spot with Dangerous Rogue, if that's what he's going for.
Going for the Abyssal Hand here.
There's a Guzma. Does he have the energy? He would have played it, I'm sure, by now if he did. We'll see what he does. Eyeing up his hand. Looks like he had 3 cards to the side, like maybe he's going to play an Ultra Ball. I think he has already gotten rid of his Tapu Lele. Not positive, though. Maybe.
He's going for the Ultra Ball potentially here.
Jimmy, if he had a way to win in his hand, he would have played it by now. So
discarding a Sudowoodo and a Guzma. Is that another one in his hand?
No, I don't think that he has a way. So he's already used Abyssal Hand this turn. Right. I think he's going to have to go for a Tapu Lele, maybe find a Sycamore if he hasn't played it yet, and try to just get that energy plus Lycanroc combo. Mm-hmm. Here comes a Sycamore to the top, I believe. Getting that Tapu Lele to find the Professor Sycamore. So he had not used it yet, thankfully, for Jimmy Pendarvis. Gonna shuffle his hand in. And if he finds energy plus Lycanroc, that's gonna be a good game. See here what he is able to find off of Professor Sycamore. I believe he had a Choice Band in his hand. He could attach that. Not going to be super relevant at this point in the game. I think this is kind of one of those, if he hits it here, he hits it. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Looks like he does have a Bricklet Hill, so he can get one more card out. Just thinning as much as possible.
Grabbing that second Remoraid. Neither of them prized, as we potentially thought it earlier.
Well, at this point, he maybe could have gotten it out of the prizes, since Ian has played it in the last turn or two. But yes, looks like he does have it in play now. just going to thin that card out so that he can, have higher chances of drawing what he wants to hit this turn. I think this turn is what it's going to come down to. Either Jimmy Pendarvis wins this turn or he does not, and then Ian should be able to win on the next turn. Does he find? He finds the energy, finds the Lycanroc GX, and Bloodthirsty Eyes will bring up any of those 2 prize Pokemon on Ian's bench. Strong Energy will make it enough to take a knockout on any of them.
And we're on to game 2.
On to game 2. Great game from both of these players, and executed almost perfectly by Jimmy Pendarvis,
Definitely
I think.
was. Going into game 2, though, what does Ian need to do in order to keep up?
I think one of the biggest downfalls to Ian's game that game was the fact that he went second. I think he made very smart decisions throughout the game. He just went second, and it's really tough against Buzzwole going second when you're an evolution-based deck, because you're not going to get those evolutions until your second turn. Buzzwole will have a turn to set up and a turn to attack. And, Ian hit what he needed at the right time. He got that Mew EX to get that knockout on the Buzzwole. I think that was huge for him to win that, to have a shot in that game, I should say. And it's just really going to come down to what he can do. And I think, going second in this matchup, if you want to win as a Zoropod player, you almost have to see the Buzzwole player stumble a little bit at some point. If they execute all of their decisions perfectly, Buzzwole GX is usually... it seems like it's fairly favored in this specific matchup. And with Ian, I think not playing the Mewtwo at this point, it makes it a lot harder.
Definitely. Basically, Jimmy just has to do what he does, right?
Absolutely, and Jimmy is a very smart, calculated player. Does not make very many mistakes, and we saw that in that first game where he, played fairly well. The only thing I was a little questionable on was putting all those energies on that one single Buzzwole. Maybe would have put one on the Rockruff so that you didn't lose so many energies in one turn. But obviously, Jimmy, it ended up working out for him since he got the win. And, Jimmy's the one playing. I'm the one sitting back here. He knows what he's doing for sure.
Oh, definitely. The nice thing about that deck is even if you do lose all those energies, you have so many different ways to get them back out onto the field. Or at least new energy out onto the field. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, getting getting more energies in play. Lots of ways to do that with Max Elixirs and in this Buzzwole deck, and with attackers that attack for very little energies. Lycanroc's GX attack, 2 energies. Sudowoodo Watch and Learn, 2 energies. Buzzwole GX, 1 energy. So many options. Baby Mew can copy the attacks of any of these Pokemon that are basics. So lots of options on Jimmy's side of the field. Jimmy did have to take a mulligan. Ian will get an additional card to start this game, and that is what you want to see when you're a Zoropod player, because you want as many cards as possible to try to get that turn 1 Bridget.
Especially on turn 1 and not having to go to turn 2, since there's always that potential of being end.
Absolutely. Gonna get 2 starters here on Jimmy's side. Ian will take his extra card. We'll see what these players have in store. Wimpod start for Ian. Will be able to wimp out into whatever he wants. I do at least see an Ultra Ball. Looks like he does have to Ultra Ball for the Lele to get the Bridget. Doesn't get the natural Bridget that we've seen before, but I think Ian will take that for sure.
Yeah. Some sort of Bridget is always better than no Bridget at all.
Oh, absolutely. So we'll see what he wants to get with this. I would probably expect to see like Wimpod plus 2 Zorua, but he might value a heavier setup and go for like 3 Zorua, something like that. Actually gonna opt for the Cynthia. Interesting. Maybe he has basics in his hand, so he's okay playing a shuffle supporter this turn.
Maybe.
Or maybe he just knows his follow-up to a Bridget would be extremely weak, and he needs to play a supporter that is not Bridget this turn.
That too. Or maybe he does have the natural Bridget in hand and just is getting it for next turn. But he
looks like it is. Double Zorua there. Grass Energy to Wimpod. Really solid start from Ian Robb. Gonna shuffle in and draw 6 cards off of the Cynthia. 2 Zoruas in play already, and we'll see if he can find any more basics in these 6 cards. Ian will definitely want to value getting those Zoroark GXs in play. Trade, such a vital ability in this deck, just helping you hit the cards you need every single turn. See what these 6 cards yield him. Does he find another basic Pokemon or not? Hasn't benched anything yet. Maybe does or not. We'll see what he retreats into as well. Looks like he did get the Wimpod. Retreats into the Tapu Lele that he put the Floatstone on, and a pass over to Jimmy Pendarvis.
Very smart move on Ian Robb's part, as we have discussed before. Zorua having a weakness. Little Wimpod being a little bit frail. So
absolutely, and moving into the Lele is great as well since it does have that float stone. He'll be able to have that mobility potentially back into a Golisopod GX since he knows at this point in the tournament these players know each other's lists a lot of the time, especially whenever people have been playing specific lists for such a long time. Ian probably knows Jimmy doesn't play Field Blower.
this is true, but I have to mention, Jimmy has hit the Max Elixir.
Absolutely. Max Elixir #1 coming out, one of many this game. Gets onto that Rockruff, gonna try to set up that dangerous rogue eventually. Could actually go for a corner here to avoid a first impression, but all Ian would need if he did that would be a DCE to use Energy Drive to knock out Rockruff. So I don't think we'll be seeing a corner this turn.
Not at all, but we do see that second energy as well as a Professor Sycamore come down.
So many energies here to start the game off. Not what you normally want to see. Doesn't want to have too many on the Rockruff, I wouldn't think. Gonna use Brooklet Hill. Gonna eye up a Remoraid, and since he attached for turn, his only way to attack this turn would be to hit an Elixir on Buzzwole or go for a Wild Kick with Rockruff, and I don't think he wants to do that.
Neither of those options seem too ideal right now.
No, not at all.
Go on.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I do like the Remoraid coming down, allowing him to start setting up that Octillery. It's great.
Absolutely.
Another Rockruff coming down.
All of the doggos in play at this point. We'll see what Jimmy has left on his turn. Looks like it will just be a pass. Usually Buzzwole, a deck that does not mind going second because it can be so aggressive and can get turn 1 attacks very easily, but Jimmy, unfortunately, not able to do it this turn. Here comes an Ultra Ball. We'll see a Zoroark GX come into play. Gets rid of a Grass Energy and an Oranguru from Ultra Prism. Oranguru, a very interesting card used to, recycle resources later on in the game, and very good against some of these mill decks and specific matchups. Ian, not needing it in this game, it is weak to fighting as well, so easy for Buzzwole to potentially knock out with a Jet Punch.
Definitely. Another Tapu Lele coming down onto the field, getting that Guzma super quick.
Looks like he's going to bring up that Rockruff. Jimmy going to go ahead and move that Rockruff to the active, knows that it is going to be coming up. What is Ian going to send up? Looks like it is a Tapu Lele and a DCE Energy Drive, dealing 80 damage, will knock out Rockruff. Jimmy needs to find another attacker here. Needs to start powering up a Buzzwole GX, and he is down a lot of energies, and he has a lot in his hand right now.
Looks to be at least 2 to 3, sadly, and it might look like he's going to Ultra Ball or something with them.
Looks like he's eyeing up an Ultra Ball for sure. It is so awkward with this Buzzwole deck when you just draw all of your energy cards. You need them in the deck to hit your elixirs, and you need to attach them, but you can't attach more than one, right? So you ideally would only draw one every single turn and just keep the rest in your deck so that you have the highest odds for elixir. It seems like it's the exact opposite of that for Jimmy Pendarvis this game.
Seems to be the exact opposite for most people when playing this game.
Absolutely. Jimmy can actually pop off here and potentially get a big knockout on this Tapu Lele if he was to get a bunch of energy in play. But if he did that, it would be pretty easy for Ian to respond with a Mew EX play to take Jimmy's only energy out of play, and Jimmy would almost certainly lose the game from that point.
Right, that Octillery right now coming in clutch, allowing him to draw into that Max Elixir, allowing him to also hit that Max Elixir.
Looks like this might be the play Jimmy is going to go for, maybe feeling confident, saying, I don't think you're going to be able to hit the cards you need, Ian, and this is maybe my win condition, is if he misses, then I can maybe take multiple prizes with this Buzzwole. Does, I think, have another Elixir in his hand.
Does.
Oh my goodness, does hit, even though he's gotten rid of so many energies.
And then going for the Cynthia, allowing him to get a fresh hand of 6. Ian looking through that discard, seeing how many energies
he's like,
discarded.
Are there really this many energies in here, and you still hit both of those elixirs? Are you kidding me?
Jimmy runs so hot Pendarvis at this point.
Jimmy, that should be his nickname at this point. We've seen him draw extremely well in the past, and if you're going to draw well, this is an excellent deck to play. If Buzzwole GX draws extremely well like this, it is difficult to stop for sure. If Ian isn't able to respond to this Buzzwole, it could potentially take 4 prizes.
Definitely. We see another Remoraid hit the field, giving him that backup just in case Ian does decide to knock out that Octillery at any point.
And we'll see what Jimmy goes for here. Will it be an Absorption GX or a Knuckle Impact? We'll see. It might depend on what he has in his hand. Looks like it will just be a Knuckle Impact, maybe signaling, hey, I have a Guzma, I can try to reset next turn. Over to Ian's side. Does he have Mew EX options? Looks like trade number 1 will come out. Doesn't have another Zoroark GX yet. There it is, though. We'll be able to trade once again. UEX plus double colorless energy would be what he wants to find here to take the knockout here on Buzzwole. But Jimmy does have that basic Mew on his bench that he can use to copy Jet Punch to take the knockout on Mew. Does he find what he needs? Doesn't look like it yet. Looks like a Field Blower will get rid of Choice Band plus the Brooklet Hill and just an N. Can he find it off this N?
Ian drawing into 5, Jimmy drawing into 4.
He at least wants to find a Golisopod. He needs to attack this turn, and he has already traded twice, so these 5 cards are going to be all he has to work with. And I like this over on Jimmy's side as well. Does already have a second Remoraid in play. Wants to get that double Abyssal Hand going, just seeing as many cards as possible each and every turn. Ian could also find Golisopod plus a double colorless energy to try to set up an armor press, making it very difficult for Jimmy to take a knockout on Golisopod GX. Would need, I think, his last Max Elixir plus a strong energy and Choice Band to use a dangerous Rogue KO after that 20 damage reduction. Let's see, 4 energy cards. Excuse me, 4 cards drawn from Jimmy, 5 cards from Ian. Does get Mew DCE, are you kidding me?
Unreal.
It looks like he was debating maybe he didn't get it. Am I mistaken? Looks like he does go. I was mistaken. It looks like he did have another trade available to him. Parallel City as well, going to force him to discard something over on Jimmy's side. Does get the Mew DCE. I thought I saw him flash it. Gonna send it up. Versatile will copy Riotous Beating and take the 2 prizes on Buzzwole GX.
Eliminating all the energy on Jimmy's side of the field.
And Jimmy just has these 4 cards to work with. Gone through so many energies at this point. Used a lot of his resources. This turn needs to respond with a Choice Band Basic Fighting plus a Buzzwole on the bench to get the knockout. Does at least have that Choice Band in his hand, but can he find the cards to get those other pieces of the combo?
He does have a Cynthia in hand, and I think that's what he's eyeing right now. So he does have the potential to refresh his hand in order to try and get those.
Just have to see what he does. Ultra Ball actually going to come out first. That can find him the Buzzwole he needs. Got rid of a Choice Band as well, so maybe he has a second one in his hand, or maybe he's thinking of a different line of play. We'll see what Jimmy Pendarvis does here on this turn. Looks like Buzzwole is what he's going to be eyeing up. Also, you know, I need to compliment as well that beautiful Full Art Dark Explorers Mew over on, Dragon's Exalted Full Art Mew over on Ian's side. I really love that artwork of that card.
I'm a fan of the promo, honestly.
Okay.
It's a great full art, either way.
That's an interesting discussion amongst people of which one they prefer. I've heard one thing, I've heard the other, but no, I'm definitely a fan of the Dragon's Exalted. We see, it looks like Jimmy actually opted for the Lycanroc GX.
Potentially bringing up maybe that Golisopod.
Yeah.
So it can't attack for full power. There is the Max Elixir number 4, I think we're at
Absolutely.
now.
He does whiff, though. Jimmy was trying to get off a dangerous Rogue this turn, and I think he did whiff that Elixir, so he won't be able to do that. If he could have used Dangerous Rogue and taken out this Golisopod and the Grass Energy, it would have been a little harder for Ian to respond. He maybe would have had to get a double Puzzle of Time piece in order to respond to that Lycanroc.
Definitely.
He's already discarded at least 1 Grass Energy, I know. There is the Choice Band. Not going to use that Lycanroc yet. Wants to leave that option to him if he whiffs the cards he needs here.
There's the Basic Energy, as well
he
as
has the Basic Energy,
Buzzwole.
has the Buzzwole GX, will be able to use Jet Punch here, doing 120 damage to the Psychic Weak Mew, and take 30 damage onto something on the bench.
Opting to put that damage right onto that Zoroark.
And this game is going to be close here. What can Ian do? It's going to, honestly, I think at this point come down to what Jimmy draws. He can have the option to get that knockout on the Zoroark GX with a Jet Punch Regirock. Strong Energy, Choice Band combo. Seems like a lot of cards, but it is very doable for this Buzzwole deck. Ian trades away the first card, I believe. Looks like he's figuring out what to trade with number 2. Gonna check the discard pile from Jimmy. You see this a lot from the top-level players, checking each other's discard piles, because as equally as important as it is to know what you have played, you need to make sure you know what your opponent's played and know what they have access to still.
Definitely. There's always that potential of finding out what they do or don't have, which allows you to kind of just figure out what you need to do in order to win.
And especially in tournaments like this, these players do have potential to play again in top 8 if they were to both make it there. So they want to, make sure they're familiar with each other's lists and no counts, because it could definitely come in handy in the future.
Definitely have to fish for that information.
And in coming out from Ian, he'll only get 3 cards off of this, but he does limit Jimmy to just 2. Ian does have the Grass Energy and the Choice Band on Golisopod, so he will be able to get that first impression KO on Mew. The worst case scenario could also find a DCE and use Energy Drive potentially. I think Ian knows Jimmy has played all of his elixirs at this point. I believe it's at least 3, but I think he has played all 4.
Do think so as well.
So he will not have access. Looks like there's a card that's supposed to be the bottom, maybe, of the deck as it got slid over.
Yeah.
I think should be the bottom card. We'll just do that real fast. I think that card that Ian moved over to the top should be on the bottom, actually.
The card Ian moved should be on the bottom, not the top.
Yeah. Just move that card that he slid over to the bottom.
As we go fix that real fast.
Yep, just a simple thing. I believe it slid off from the bottom whenever Jimmy cut the deck, so not a super big deal, but
okay.
I think looks like they are good to go over there. Everything has been okayed by the judge, so we are just going to continue play. Jimmy does send up that Mew from Fates Collide. Choice Band and Fighting Energy on it. Can still use Jet Punch for a solid 60, but we'll see if Jimmy has what he needs to potentially get the Guzma win on this turn. There's Abyssal Hand drawing him 4 cards. Needs a Strong Energy, Regirock, and a Stadium to get rid of this Parallel City. Does he have it or not? If he had it, I think it would have come into play.
Potentially, but as we've seen before, Jimmy does methodically check again and again and think through every play before just throwing cards down willy-nilly.
Absolutely. Jimmy knows what he is doing for sure at this point in his Pokemon career. Debating what to do with these 5 cards in his hands. Doesn't seem like he has a lot of great options. He's just had to discard so many energies this game. It's been really tough.
Definitely. It is worth noting there is a counter catcher in Ian's deck, even though we have not seen it come into play at all.
Well, actually, I believe he used it that last turn while we were trying to figure out what happened there with that top card. It looks like he did use it to get that knockout on the Rockruff, so that took that option away from Jimmy Pendarvis. Since Ian was at 3 prize cards, Jimmy was at 2. He was behind. He was able to use counter catcher and brought that Rockruff up.
Interesting card choice that we haven't seen played that often.
So we do see a Jet Punch. Does 60 damage to the active, 30 to the bench. Does Ian have the cards to win this turn? If he finds a double Puzzle of Time, Guzma, and a DCE, he can use Mew EX's Versatile to copy Ride of Speeding and knock out Buzzwole GX on the bench. Does he get there? 2 trades have come out. Lots of cards in his hand. Maybe just making sure he has access to them. Looks like DCE, it brings to the top. Double Puzzle of Time. Mew, DCE, Guzma brings up that Buzzwole GX and will be able to knock it out due to that weakness. There it is, Jimmy showing, hey, there's that next turn. I had that Strong Energy, had that Regirock, was not able to pull it off. Maybe didn't have the Guzma, wasn't able to bench that because of the Parallel City in play. And we're going to go on to a Game 3 with 13 minutes remaining.
So both players have shown us how strong their decks can be. What do each of them need to do going into Game 3 here?
I think it was just really unfortunate for Jimmy to have discarded so many energy cards. He missed 2 elixirs that game, I believe, and that really did hurt him. That counter catcher for Ian came in super clutch, letting him take that Rockruff out of play, which was one of Jimmy's potential win conditions, being able to use that to bring up that very damaged Zoroark GX. And, great news for Jimmy Pendarvis here in this Game 3. He'll get to go first.
Exactly. Going first is the most crucial part of this game, it seems.
Oh, I mean, it's very important. You can definitely, it's not like a game-losing thing to go second by any means, but, there's just, it's definitely strictly advantageous to go first. Sure, you can't attack, but you just get that extra turn of setup, and it's just, always wanting to go first. Very good. Ian's going to just make sure he's shuffling up good here, and we'll get these players to cut their decks, and then they'll draw 7 cards and get this game started.
And lay their prizes down.
And lay their prizes down, of course. Can't forget any of these steps. Meowth not able to get Jimmy through that second game, unfortunately. Maybe Meowth will be able to support him through game 3, though, and get him a win here.
We'll see, we'll see.
These players both wanting to get into the top 8. Both of these players also top 16 competitors in North America. Lots of top 16 players on the stream this weekend. Want to feature these top-level players. Both of these guys wanting to fight for that Day 2 World's berth, as well as potential stipends for the World Championships.
Exactly. It is a bloodbath out there for that top 16. I've been
really,
talking to
really
them.
Is.
They've been telling me how they've been planning all these different trips. This entire month they've been gone every single weekend. I think the only weekend off is next weekend.
Yep, talking to some of the players this weekend, they've talked about a little bit of the burnout. So much travel, so much Pokemon in just a short period of time. But hey, we love this game. That's why we do it. And I'm sure these guys are having fun getting to play the game they enjoy.
Oh, definitely. Being able to go from Brazil to Salt Lake City to Toronto, Canada, it's fantastic. 3
countries in 3 weeks sounds like a pretty good month to me.
It does.
So Jimmy's going to get things started. Does start that Mew EX. Ian, unfortunately, does start a Tapu Lele. Not what he wants to get started with. Jimmy does get a Brooklet Hill. Will be able to throw a Buzzwole GX onto the bench. I assume at least a Buzzwole GX. But he could get a Rockruff, could get a Remoraid. We'll see what he eyes up. Like I said earlier, Jimmy is very good about checking prizes. But maybe we'll just check a few things here because he knows he doesn't have a ton of time.
Yeah, going into the final 10 minutes, just a little over 10 minutes.
Absolutely. Gonna want to try to play quickly. Like we have said earlier, if a deck can finish a game quickly, it is certainly Buzzwole GX, Lycanroc. Very fast, very aggressive. Jimmy playing an Ultra Ball here, does find a Tapu Lele, gets an in, had a Max Elixir in his hand, so he's gonna shuffle his deck, play that Elixir before he plays the end.
Definitely. Getting rid of Ian's extra card there.
Absolutely. Obviously, the better choice here over Cynthia in this instance, since he will be able to just limit Ian by 1. Does find an energy on that Elixir, and we will see the in come out, drawing each of these players a hand of 6. So at this point, Jimmy is probably going to want to try to find a Rockruff, maybe a Remoraid, so he can try to get those evolutions in play on the next turn, both of which so important. Abyssal Hand, key to being able to keep a consistent stream of draws. And of course, Bloodthirsty Eyes on Lycanroc, extremely good for maneuvering your opponent's side of the field. Dangerous Rogue GX, a super huge threat that can take a knockout on basically anything on Ian's side.
Definitely. Finding that Remoraid off that fresh hand of 6, getting another energy so he can attach to that Buzzwole, powering it up even more.
Really solid draws from Jimmy on his side. Looks like Ian is going to start off with a Brooklet Hill. Going to check his deck real fast, see what he has to work with. Maybe he's checking, hey, are my Bridgets in here? Before I go Ultra Ball for Lele, I want to make sure that I have access to that card.
Right.
One of the things about the Pokemon trading card game is that you do put those prize cards out to start, and sometimes you can get really unfortunate luck and put a lot of important cards in your prize cards. We've all had it happen to us, and
most recently and notably, John Kettler with the 3 Rowlet prize.
Absolutely, a classic moment in the Pokemon TCG in the finals of St. Louis Regionals from a season ago. Was unfortunate there. And I think we saw earlier, even in this last round before us, Azul prized his Regirock in 2 games in a row when it's such a good attacker in that specific matchup, wasn't able to utilize it. Ian going for the Bridget, but actually gets 3 Zorua and no Wimpod.
Interesting. There's the potential for him to have one in his hand, hopefully.
That's what that would signal to me. We'll have to see if he does indeed. Maybe he got unlucky and prized a couple of them, but I would assume he probably has one in his hand. See it right now if he does. Looks like it does hit the bench. We'll see if he has an energy he wants to put anywhere. No, it will be a pass over to Jimmy. Gonna use Brooklet Hill right away. Jimmy playing very quickly here. Knows that there is not enough time. He's playing against the clock almost at this point. Wants to take 6 prize cards before the time runs out.
Grabbing himself another Buzzwole for that bench.
Gonna want to try to spread his energy around. No Rockruff in play yet for Jimmy Pendarvis. Maybe going to want to hope to find one at some point here. Looks like we do see the Octillery. We see an attachment to Buzzwole GX. Choice Band as well.
And the
Guzma in his hand will take a Zorua out of play. Sends up the Octillery. Going to use Abyssal Hand. Draw himself 5 cards. And he still has Elixirs potentially. He still can do lots of things with this turn. I think if he does anything else with this turn, he's going to want to find a Rockruff, but did want to get that second Buzzwole in play here. There is an Elixir. Let's see where he puts this energy. Gonna spread the energy out this time between the two Buzzwole, so that if Ian does take one of them out, he's still gonna have the option to get a Knuckle Impact off with the other.
Right.
Ian would still need a lot of cards to pull off the combo to knock out this Buzzwole. GX would need Floatstone, Mew EX, DCE, and a Zoroark GX. What's he gonna send up to start this turn? Looks like it will be a Tapu Lele GX.
Very safe play on Ian's part.
Absolutely. Energy Drive can do a decent chunk of damage and try to set up a 2-hit KO, but it'll be really difficult, I think, if Ian wants to win this game. Needs to draw extremely well at this point.
It looks like he had to discard 2 Guzma for that Ultra Ball there.
That is definitely unfortunate. Such an important resource. The Zoropod deck, of course, does have the access to Puzzle of Time, so he can use those to get them back, but you definitely don't like getting rid of them this early like that. And as well, going to come out, shuffle both of these players' hands in. Jimmy will just get 1 prize card. Ian will draw 6. We'll see what Ian can get off the 6 to continue his turn. Going to look for a Floatstone, maybe that Mew EX if he can find it. But the thing about Mew EX, Jimmy has that Mew on his bench already.
Exactly.
6 cards for Ian, 5 over on Jimmy's side. Jimmy Pendarvis looks like he has the setup he wants. Multiple energy spread across the field. Ian kind of unsure what to play here with his trade. Gets rid of a Zoroark GX.
Ends up going for the Evo Soda, searching his deck for an evolution card.
Probably going to get, well, the only thing he can get actually is Gliscopod. Yep. No other targets. Tapu Lele does not evolve. Zoroark GX does not evolve. Gonna find that Gliscopod. Let's see if he finds Floatstone plus a Grass Energy maybe. See a Bridget traded away for the second trade.
Ends up going for the Brooklet Hills, checking to see what he has left in his deck, seeing if he prized anything.
Yep, trying to figure out what options he's going to have to try to win this game. Looks like he doesn't find anything. No water or fighting Pokemon have materialized in his deck since...
Surprise, surprise.
So we will see the cut from Jimmy. Ian, we'll see what he does. Looks like a Field Blower. Gets rid of the Brooklet Hill and the Choice Band. Definitely solid. There's a Floatstone onto that Lele. Does he find the Grass Energy to take the knockout with Gliscopod?
Surely
to hit with Gliscopod. No, looks like he did not. It's just going to be a pass. Jimmy Pendarvis playing an Ultra Ball. We'll see what he wants to find with this. Maybe getting a Rockruff in play so that he has that option later on.
Definitely eyeing that Rockruff.
Looks
Throwing
like
it back down on the bench pretty quickly.
Now Jimmy Pendarvis can attach an energy and go for an Absorption GX. Right now dealing 200 damage. Will need a Strong Energy or Choice Band to get that hump and get over that hump. And looks like he did find the Strong Energy. Absorption GX will take the knockout. Choice Band to boot as well. Let's see what he goes for. Maybe debating if he wants it there. Looks like he does. Jimmy playing at a lightning fast speed knows that he is playing against the clock.
Grabbing that Pseudo-Udo for its Watch and Learn attack. Getting just another option out there in case anything is knocked out for later.
Looks like he's actually just going to discard it. Yeah, just wanted to thin that card out of his deck. I think discarded 3 Sycamores at this point this turn. Played 1, Ultra Balled away 2. Playing so quickly here, Jimmy Pendarvis. Going to see that Absorption GX. No, looks like a Knuckle Impact actually. Wants to leave that Dangerous Rogue option for potentially later on in the game.
Right.
Ian's going to send up the Floatstone to Lele. 3 minutes on the clock heading into this last few turns of what this game is going to be. Jimmy Pendarvis is in the driver's seat. It's really going to come down to the clock at this point, I think. DCE to the Lele. That's going to be a good attacking option. Can do a lot of damage. There are 3 energies on Buzzwole GX, and it cannot attack this coming turn.
So Ian has opted for the N here, ending Jimmy down to 3?
I believe so. Looks like it will be 3. Jimmy has knocked out the Gliscopod GX and a Zorua this game, so 3 prizes remain for him. He does have the Buzzwole with 2 energy, and if he can find a Guzma this turn, he can take a Zoroark GX out of play.
See if he can do it.
Ian's turn still going on, though. Chose to attach to the Lele as opposed to trying to hit the Mew EX combo to get the one-hit knockout. I think at this point, knowing, hey, I probably won't win this game, let's see if I can, make sure I don't put that Mew EX in place so that it gets easily knocked out for Jimmy. That would be just an easy 2 prizes and make things a lot easier for Jimmy to close this game out. Tapu Lele GX comes out, gonna search his deck, see what he wants to find here as a supporting option. Gonna be an N maybe to try to end Jimmy next turn. If Jimmy does take a 2-prize knockout this turn, Ian will be able to play that in to put Jimmy to just 1.
Definitely.
Of course, Octillery in play makes it easy to combat that N to 1, but it definitely is still very strong from Ian to try to limit Jimmy's options and force him to find them on an Octillery's Abyssal Hand. Trade comes out, gets rid of a Grass Energy. Let's see what he drew.
Ends up getting an Ultra Ball, discarding a Choice Band and debating on something. It looks to be a DCE potentially.
Potentially a very important card. Maybe just doesn't need it at this point though. What's he going to find here? Looks like a Wimpod wants to have the option to use First Impression potentially with a Gliscopod GX on the next turn. You can see Jimmy over there frivolously shuffling his hand as quickly as possible, furiously shuffling his hand. And gonna send.
He's ready to go.
He is very ready to go. I'm sure this turn from Jimmy is going to be extremely fast. Under a minute left in this match.
He knows what's going on. He knows that there's very limited time. We're down to 45 seconds pretty much.
Here comes
right
that
now.
Max Elixir. It does hit 3 energies on 2 Buzzwole GX. Does Jimmy have a Guzma this turn? If he can Guzma this turn and have 2 Buzzwole with GX with 3 energies in them, Jimmy does not lose this game. There's the Guzma. Oh my goodness. Gonna bring up the Buzzwole GX with all of those energies on it, and now he is fully powered, and he will easily be able to take his last prize somehow. I don't think Jimmy Pendarvis can lose this game.
I don't think he can either. The only way he can lose is to the clock.
And I mean, even at this point, he would have 1 turn at the worst. If he announces attack quickly and Ian draws his card, he will be able to close out this game. Let's see what he wants to do. Attaches an energy to the Rockruff. Gonna see that it's coming up on time. Gonna just use that Knuckle Impact to take the knockout. Ian deciding what to send up. What does he want at this point in the game? I believe time has been called. We'll see. Wait for the official timer. Ian has promoted Tapu Lele GX. So it looks like time has been called.
If I recall correctly, because he didn't promote yet, Jimmy is technically
it's actually based on the card drawn. He hasn't drawn a card yet, so since he hasn't drawn a card, Jimmy will be turn 0.
Okay, so
Ian is going to be turn 0. Okay, looks like time was called just as Ian was drawing, so it will be turn 0. Max Potion will heal that damage off of Zoroark to take away one of those options, but Ian needs to Field Blower away. It looks like he's going to get rid of Choice Bands. I'm not sure what he can do here.
There's not much at this point. Ending Jimmy to 1 right now. But there's that Octillery on the field. Yeah,
he'll be able to draw extra cards, maybe hoping, hey, Jimmy might not have enough cards to get the knockout. I think a lot of Choice Bands are gone. He may not be able to knock out a Gliscopod GX, but Jimmy does still have the option to find a Guzma for Zoroark GX or even a Lycanroc GX to use Bloodthirsty Eyes. Ultra Ball can find Bloodthirsty Eyes. There are a lot of outs for Jimmy Pendarvis in his relatively thin deck.
Right, and that's the beauty of Buzzwole.
So many options at any given point. We just have seen time and time again how strong this deck is. What is that 1 card on Jimmy's side? What does Ian get off of his 6? Can he get anything?
Opting for the Ultra Ball there, discarding the Parallel City and something else.
Does get a Gliscopod GX. Will do some damage, will not take the knockout, but will force Jimmy over the course of these 2 turns to find a way to get around this Gliscopod. He cannot knock it out right away.
Trading away a DCE.
Not going to need it at this point in the game, I don't think.
There's that Gliscopod GX hitting the field.
Ooh, Enhanced Hammer. That is big. Forces Jimmy to have 1 more card to get the win.
And now we have promoted the Gliscopod GX, being able to First Impression, while not getting the knockout, putting a sizable amount of damage onto that Buzzwole.
120 damage comes out. Does Jimmy find what he needs? There's an energy. Can he find a Guzma with this Abyssal Hand? Where's he going to put this energy? Looks like it's going onto a Rockruff.
Are we going to be seeing a Lycanroc come out soon?
He may want to leave the option. There it is. Bloodthirsty Eyes will bring up a Zoroark GX. And
Jimmy Pendarvis taking game 3.
Jimmy Pendarvis, of course, that Buzzwole couldn't attack that turn, but he can easily retreat it into the Lycanroc GX to use Dangerous Rogue to knock out